Hello students, in today's class we will do some numericals on the bending stress. Let's start with this numerical. Here we have a cast iron pipe which is having the inside diameter of 50 centimeter and the thickness of the wall of this cast iron pipe is 2 centimeter. So the outer diameter will obviously be 54 centimeter. Now this pipe is running with water, so it is fully filled with water and it has got a length of 10 meter and the supports are positioned in such a way that you can consider it to be as a simply supported. So we have a pipe of 10 meter length, simply supported, filled with water, and the weight density of the cast iron is given to us, that is 72 kilonewton per meter cube, as well as the weight density of water is also known to us, that is 10 kilonewton per meter cube. Because of its own self weight and the water which is filled inside, this whole system is loaded and we need to calculate the maximum stress in the pipe that is being generated because of its own weight plus the water's weight. Now, in order to solve this problem, as I have already told you, that we can consider this pipe to be as simply supported, and as the weight of the pipe as well as the water is continuously distributed over the entire length, we can assume it to be as a simply supported. So the uniformly distributed load. Here I have made a simplified diagram where you can see that we have a simply supported beam with a 10 meter span and it is loaded with a particular load of per unit length, whose value we are going to just determine now. First we need to calculate the internal area of the pipe. So the internal area of the pipe will be simply pi by 4 d square. The diameter is given as 50 centimeters. So after converting into meter, we will calculate the internal area of the pipe, which will be 0.196 meter square. After that, let's find out the area of cross section of the pipe. So that is the pi by 4 outer diameter square minus internal diameter square. As the pipe is having the thickness of 2 centimeter, so the outer diameter will be 54 centimeter. So there will be 0.54 square plus minus 0.5 square. So that gives us the area of cross section of the pipe as 0.0327 meter square. Now we will like to calculate the weight of the cast iron pipe per meter run. So as we know that the volume of a hollow cylinder will be simply the area of cross section of that multiplied by its length. Here we are talking about the per meter run, so that's why we are taking the length as 1 meter. This is the area of cross section of that, so 0.0327 multiplied by 1 multiplied by the weight density of it. So that gives you the value of weight per unit length of the pipe. So after this we can calculate it as 2.354 kilonewton per meter. That is the weight of pipe per unit length. Similarly, we can calculate the weight of the water in pipe. So for that purpose, as we have been told that the pipe is running full, that means it is completely filled with water. So the inside area of the pipe is 0.196 multiplied by the length per meter length, so that is 1, multiplied by the weight density of water, that is 10. So that gives us the value of the weight of water per unit length, that is 1.96 kilonewton per meter. Now the combined loading because of the weight of the pipe and the weight of the water can be obtained by simply adding these two terms, which turns out to be 4.314 kilonewton per meter. So that is the total weight of the water per unit length or per meter. Now for a simply supported beam which is loaded with the uniformly distributed load, we know that the bending moment is maximum at the middle of it, and it is given by WL square by 8, where W is the loading of that beam, uniformly distributed load value, that is of the beam. This value we have already obtained when we were drawing the bending moment and shear force diagram. If you just forget that, please go back and see the diagram of the simply supported beam with the UDL and see what is the value of the maximum bending moment and where it occurs. So as I told you that it occurs at the middle and the maximum value is WL square by 8. We will substitute the value of loading W as 4.314, which we have just calculated. Length of the pipe is 10 meter, so it is 10 square divided by 8. So that gives us the maximum bending moment value as 53925 kilonewton meter. So that is the value of the bending moment that is being applied because of the water weight as well as the cast iron pipe's own weight. Now moment of inertia of the pipe will be obtained by the formula pi by 64 d outer diameter minus d smaller diameter to the power 4. So the outer diameter is 54 centimeter. So we have here 54, inner diameter 54, 50 to the power 4, and we have converted it into millimeter. So that's why you see here this 10 to the power 4, and you can calculate the value of moment of inertia of the cross section of the pipe, which is a hollow circular section. So that is obtained as 1.105 into 10 to the power 9 millimeter 4. Now we are going to calculate the section modulus, and as I told you earlier that the section modulus is the moment of inertia divided by the distance of the fiber which is at the maximum distance from the neutral axis. Now this pipe is symmetrical section, it is circular section. The point which is at the maximum distance will be the outermost fiber or the outer diameter point. So we are going to because the outer diameter is 54 centimeter, so half of it d by 2 will be 27 centimeters. So this is 270 millimeter here, because we have already used the value of Ix in millimeter. So Ixx by Ymax will be Zxx, and its value we can compute it as 4.09 into 10 to the power 6 millimeter cube. Now this maximum bending stress, where is it occurring? It is occurring at the middle of the length of the pipe. So that means exactly at the middle of where the support are there. Okay, so in between the support, that means from both the support it is at the distance of 5 meter, exactly at the middle of the pipe. And where it is occurring at that cross section of that pipe, so it will be occurring at the top and the bottom fiber, because they both will be at the same distance from the neutral axis. So you see, as I have shown you here figure, that the sigma max will occur at the top and the bottom fiber of the cross section exactly at the middle of the length of the pipe. Now this sigma max will be calculated by dividing the maximum bending moment value with the Zxx value, and we have just obtained these values in the previous calculations. We'll substitute them over here and we can compute the sigma max as 13.18 megapascal. To get the better understanding of this thing, I would suggest that you do these exercise at your home. So that is the calculate the stress at the inner fiber. So we have taken the Z by using the Ymax value instead of Ymin value, that means at the inside diameter. What will be that value? That is 50 divided by 2, that is 25 centimeter or 250 millimeter. So instead of 270, if you substitute it here 250, what is the value you are going to obtain for the sigma min for the cross section? So you have the sigma max at the outer fiber, you have sigma min at the inner fiber of the or inner diameter position. Now I would also ask you to plot how the stress is going to distribute along the thickness of this pipe. So please let me know about that. So how the stress will vary from the maximum to minimum, what kind of shape it is going to take. Now let's do one more numerical, that is about a cantilever pipe or cantilever beam, which is having a hollow square section. Now this pipe is carrying a concentrated load of W at the free end. So you have a cantilever. Cantilever means it is fixed at one end, free at the other end, and there is a load of W magnitude being applied at the free end. The length of this pipe is given to you as 1 meter, and the cross section is a square, which I have already told you, and it is having the dimension, outer dimension as 50 millimeter and the inner dimension as 40 millimeter. Okay, so these are the outer and inner dimensions of the cross section. Mind it, these values are in millimeter. Now what you need to do, you need to find how much concentrated load W that can be applied to limit the maximum bending stress in the section as 35 megapascal. So we need to find a value, maximum value of load W, which will give rise to maximum bending stress in the section as 35 megapascal. You need to first understand where is going to be that maximum stress occurring, at what point this will be maximum. So that we need to know. So for a cantilever beam, because we know that the stress is M by Z, and M is the applied bending moment, so bending moment will be maximum at the fixed end, because the W multiplied by the length of the beam, that gives you the bending moment. So this is at the maximum distance from the fixed end, so W into 1 meter, so that is your bending moment, and it is maximum at the fixed end. So one thing is clear, that the maximum stress will occur at the fixed end. Now where will it occur at the fixed end? We always know that the fiber at the maximum distance from the neutral axis is going to give you the maximum stresses. So that's why the point where these maximum stresses will occur will be at the top and the bottom of this section. So exactly, if you just let me know one moment, if you take these points, this is the exactly middle here. So these outermost points where from the neutral axis distance is 50 by 2, that is 25 millimeter, so they are going to give you the maximum value of the stresses. So let's calculate the maximum bending moment. So maximum bending moment will be W into the length of the pipe, that is 1 meter. So you convert it into millimeter, you get this maximum bending moment value as 10 to the power 3 W. The moment of inertia of the section, because in order to calculate the section modulus, you need to first work out the moment of inertia, and the moment of inertia of section hollow square section will be given by BD cube by 12, where capital B and capital D are the outer width and outer thickness of the outer height and outer width of the section. So the B is 50 here and D is also 50, because this is a square section. This formula is for the rectangular section, minus BD cube by 12, that is small b into small d cube by 12. So as this is square section, so it gets converted into B4 minus small b4 by 12. We substitute the outer and the inner values of the dimensions 50 and 40, and you compute the moment of inertia as 307.5 into 10 to the power 3 millimeter to the power 4. Now to calculate the section modulus for the maximum bending stress, we are going to put the value of Y max, the maximum distance fiber, as I already told you that its value will be 50 by 2. So here you get the 50 by 2 here, and then you calculate the value as 12,300 millimeter cube. You substitute these values in the formula of sigma is equal to m by z. So here is the bending moment 10 to the power 3 W divided by section modulus 12,300. Now the limiting value of this is given as 35 megapascal. So let's equate it to 35 megapascal or 35 Newton per millimeter square. And from this formula we can compute the value of W. So the W, the maximum load that this hollow pipe can sustain, provided that the maximum stresses are not crossing the 35 megapascal, will be 430.5 newtons. Here is another numerical, and this is a very interesting one. And here what you are given is that there are beams which are having different shapes. So one beam is square, another is rectangle, and the third one is circle. So square beam is having dimensions A by A, and the rectangle beam is having height of 2b while its width is b, and the circle is having the diameter d. So what is given to you is that these three beams are of equal length. So there are equal length beams and they are made up of same material. So let's say they all are made up of aluminium, or let's say cast iron or mild steel. So all these beams are of same length, they are made up of same material. Thus the allowable stress that can be produced for a given material will be same. So they have the same allowable stress and they are subjected to same bending moment. So let's say if suppose they are cantilever beam, just let's imagine, and the length of the beam is let's say 1 meter. So it is 1 meter for square, rectangle and circle. All three beams, they are made up of same material. Let's say they are made up of aluminium, and that's why they are subjected to same bending moment. So maximum permissible stress values are same for them. What we need to do is we need to find the ratio of weight of the circular and rectangular beam with respect to the square beam. Now in this exercise you are asked to compute the value of weights of the individual beam so that they have the same bending stress being generated. Okay, why is it important? The weight is important because the weight directly translates into the cost. So the one which is having the least weight will be the most economical beam and the most suitable section for the beam for this particular application. So we know that let's start solving it. So sigma is given by m by z, where sigma and m are given for the same for the three beams. So only because the allowable stress sigma is same for all the three beam, applied bending moment m is same. So that's why for this had to happen, their section modulus of all these three beams should be same. That is the condition that we obtained from this argument. So a square beam is having the section modulus given by BD square by 12. You must have remembered the I for the square section was BD cube by 12, and we divided by Y max. Y max is D by 2, so that gives you BD square by 6. B is the width, D is the B is the height of this and D is the depth of it. So here both are the A here, so that's why you get the A into A square, that gives you A cube by 6. Now let's go for the rectangular beam. Rectangular beam is having width B, height of the section is 2B, so that BD square by 6 will give you B into 2B whole square by 6, that is 2B cube by 3. And the circular beam, we already know that the section modulus we have computed as pi d cube by 32. So these are the values for the Z1, Z2 and Z3 respectively for the square, rectangular and the circular beam. Now as I have just told you that the section modulus for these beams should be same, so that's why Z1 should be equal to Z2. So if you equate the equation 1 to equation 2, you will obtain from this that relation between B and A, which will be given as B is equal to 0.63A. Similarly, if we equate the equation 1 to 3, we will obtain a relation between D and A, that is the diameter of the circular beam and the square section side. So that gives you 1.19 times of A. Now we have obtained the relation between B and A and D and A, and what we need to do is to comparison of the weight of these beams. As we know that the weight of the beam is density multiplied by the volume of that body. Now because they are made up of the same material, so density are same for these material for all these beams. So weight of square beam divided by weight of rectangular beam, so those density will get cancelled out. What remains is the volume of that only. Now volume is for all these cylindrical bodies, the volume is simply the cross section area multiplied by the length of that beam. So length as being the same, so what you left is weight of the square beam divided by the weight of rectangular beam will be equal to cross section area of the square beam divided by the cross section area of the rectangular beam. So cross section area will be given for a square beam will be A square. For the rectangular beam it will be 2B into B, that is 2B square. So this is it. And now you have a relation between A and B, so let's use the relation which is given over here. B is equal to 0.63A. We are going to substitute for B equal to 0.63A, so that we can calculate the ratio between the weight of these two beams. Once we do it, we obtain that this ratio turns out to be 0.63A. okay, just a moment. Okay, now here we go, 1.79. Similarly, if we go for the weight of the square beam divided by the weight of the circular beam, so that will be equal to the cross section area of the square beam divided by the cross section of the circular beam. Cross section area of the circular beam will be pi by 4 d square. So you substitute d is equal to 1.19a, which we just computed, and you know that the weight of the square beam divided by weight of circular beam turn out to be 1 by 1.12. So what these relations are telling you? These relations are telling you that the weight of the circular beam is 1.12 times of the weight of the square beam. This relation is especially telling you that the weight of circular beam is 1.12 times of weight of square beam. That is 12% more heavier than the square beam, right? And let's look at this relation. Weight of square beam divided by weight of rectangular beam is 1 over 0.79. So weight of rectangular beam is 0.79 times of the weight of square beam. So rectangular beam is having 21% less weight in comparison to square beam, and the circular beam is heavier than the square beam. So obviously our most economical section is the rectangular beam, which will be having the least weight amongst all these. So that's why when you see commonly around you in most of the applications, you will find that the beams that are being used, they are of square rectangular sections rather than being square or circular. I would suggest you look around along the civil structures and other machine parts where you can see what kind of beams have been deployed, and try to analyze why those particular shapes have been used in those situations. Okay, so that's it about this numerical. Now let's look at some other aspect, that is the calculation of the moment of inertia of the unsymmetrical section. In the previous calculation, or rather in the previous lecture, when we discussed about the calculation of the moment of inertia, we talked about the different propositions. That was the parallel axis theorem, perpendicular axis theorem, and moment of inertia of the composite figures. And then we did some calculation about the regular shaped sections which were symmetrical, like rectangular and a circle and so on, or the I section. But what if the structure or the section is unsymmetrical about a particular axis? It may be possible that it is symmetrical about one axis, but it may not be symmetrical about another axis about which you are interested to find the bending stresses. So in that case you need to find the moment of inertia of the section, unsymmetrical section. So the process that is taken for the calculation of the moment of inertia is the number one, that you find the centroidal or the CG axis through which the neutral axis will pass. So first thing that we need to do is to find the centroidal axis. Can you remember what is the way to calculate the centroidal axis? Let's do it in another numerical which we will do later on, but you must have remembered, I have mentioned it already in the previous lecture. And that section can be divided into different rectangle and triangular shapes. So you have more complex shapes there. Okay, your shape of the section is very complex, but you divide it in such a manner that it gets converted into regular shape, rectangles and triangles. So this is the exercise you have to do very judiciously, so that it helps you in calculation of the moment of inertia. Third thing that you need to do is to find the moment of inertia about an axis passing through the extreme edge of the section. Okay, so you take one boundary of the section, either the top boundary or the bottom boundary, and you find the moment of inertia of all those sections that you have divided it into about that extreme edge. So you have calculated, once you calculated all the moment of inertia, and using the composite figure composite section formula, by we will simply add them together. So you will get the moment of inertia of all these figures, all these sections about the edge of the section, the complete figure. So once you have got this, you apply the parallel axis theorem and you can find the moment of inertia about the centroidal axis. So this is the way we are going to progress. So these are the 4 steps that we will apply, and let's try to apply it on a numerical that we are going to solve now. Now just a moment. This is a T-shaped figure that you can see here. Okay, this is a symmetrical about y axis, but it is not symmetrical about x axis, which is the centroidal axis of this figure. Now this is a beam, this is a T-shaped beam which you are using, and you need to find the moment of inertia about the horizontal axis or the centroidal axis, which is horizontal. So first thing that you need to do is to find the position of CG, that is already being asked the question as well, and you need to calculate the IXX, the moment of inertia about the IXX. Incidentally, you can also calculate the moment of inertia about the YY, which will be a little bit simpler way that we are going to see. And in the second part of the question, it is written that the moment of 6.4 kilonewton meter is being applied around the horizontal axis, and you need to find the bending stresses at the extreme points. So if this beam, T-shaped beam, is being subjected to a load of bending moment of 6.4 kilonewton meter, you need to find the bending stress at the extreme fiber, that means at the extreme ends, the top and the bottom fiber of this T section. So let's first start with the first thing, that is to calculate the centroidal axis of this shape, which is horizontal. So first thing is that you calculate the area of this section. So let's calculate the area of this section. So you have this 12 I am just going to divide this whole figure into some suitable rectangles here. So instead of T section, I am assuming that okay, it is made up of 3 different rectangles. So one rectangle is this one here. Okay, this is a rectangular shape. Another is here and here. Okay, so these are the 3. I can combine these 2 to add their length, so that this will be treated as one single rectangle. But there is a one rectangle which is this vertical one, and there is another horizontal rectangle here. So let's calculate the area. Okay, so the area of this rectangle will be, the vertical one, this one will be 12.5 into 1.25, simply height and the width of this, and the remaining rectangle which is at the bottom. So if you subtract 1.25 from 15, you are going to get the value 13.75. So 13.75 will be the length and 1.25 will be the height. So that gives you the area of the remaining 2 rectangles which are at the bottom. So you add them together, you get the total area as 32.8 centimeter square. Now to find the CG of the section, we are going to take the moments of individual areas about the edge AB. Okay, so this is the way we do it. So we call it A into bar x. Okay, so bar x is going to be your value of the distance of the centroidal axis from the axis AB. This is the, okay, this is the AB and this is your XX, and this bar x is the distance between them. A is the area of cross section of this figure. So A into bar x is going to be equal to the moment of individual area about the edge AB. So let's start with this first rectangle. the vertical one, which is shaded one. So it is going to give you 12.5 into 1.25, that is the area of this section rectangle, and its distance from its the distance of its CG from the edge AB will be exactly, because the CG of this rectangle will be 12 half height 12.5 will be exactly at 6.25 height from the edge AB. So this is the area multiplied by the distance of the CG of this rectangle from the bottom edge AB. So that is 6.25. Now let's go and do this exercise for the remaining part of the rectangle which we have at the bottom. So you have height of it is as 1.25, this is the height of it, and the length of it is 15 minus 1.25, because this area has already been accounted for. So 15 minus 1.25 is the length of this, okay, and its height from the edge AB, the centroidal axis height will be 1.25 divided by 2, that is 0.625. Then you calculate it at bar x equal to these two values which we have translated over here, and then we divide it by the area of cross section A. So that gives you the bar x value as 3.31 centimeter. So that is the distance of the centroidal axis from the bottom edge AB. Now we need to calculate the moment of inertia of about the edge AB of these rectangles. So we know that the moment of inertia about the edge is given by BD cube by 3. Okay, so we have already calculated it. We have used the parallel axis theorem in order to find out. In my previous lecture you can go back and see that. So the moment of inertia about the edge of a rectangle is BD cube by 3. Here the width for the first rectangle, which is shaded one, is 1.25, this is B. The depth of it is 12.5, so BD cube divided by 3. So you get the moment of inertia of the shaded rectangle about the edge AB as which is shown here. Now for the remaining part, this bottom one, and we will subtract this area from this. So that's why the 1 by 3 into width will be 15 minus 1.25, that is 13.75. Height of it is 1.25, so that is 1.25 cube. So you get the moment of inertia about edge AB for this section as 821 centimeter to the power 4. So what we have done, we have done the 3 steps of it, which I have discussed to you in the previous page. So what we are going to do, we are going to apply the parallel axis theorem in order to determine the moment of inertia about the centroidal axis. So as you know, the moment of inertia about the edge is equal to moment of inertia about the centroidal axis plus area of cross section multiplied by the distance between these two edges square. So we are going to use the same formula, but in this way. So it will be appearing like IAB minus A bar x square here. So IXX will be equal to IAB. IAB is 821. Area of the figure is 32.8. Bar x you have just calculated. You got the moment of inertia about the edge, about the centroidal axis XX as 462 centimeter to the power 4. In the question you are also asked to calculate the value of IYY, and calculating it IYY will be more simpler because the figure is symmetrical about the axis YY. You simply need to divide it in such a manner that it becomes symmetrical. So what we need to do, what we are going to do, we are going to convert these figure into now these two rectangles. We will understand it like this. This is my first rectangle, this is my second rectangle, and moment of inertia of a rectangle about its centroidal axis will be given, because for both these figures, both these rectangles, the centroidal axis is coinciding with the YY. So that will be 1 by 12 BD cube. So 1 by 12 into width is 1.25. I am talking about the bottom rectangle. So 1 by 12 width is 1.25 and the depth is 15 centimeter here. So d to the power cube. For the remaining rectangle, it is 1 by 12 into width. What is the width this time? The width is 12.5 minus 1.25, this distance. So this is the width of it. Here is the width of it. So that is 1 by 12 into 11.25 multiplied by the depth of it. So depth is 1.25. So 1.25 cube. So that gives me the value of moment of inertia about the YY axis as 350.8 centimeter to the power 4. Now the bending stress is calculated by formula sigma is equal to m by z. In this numerical you are given in the second part that the beam is loaded with the bending moment of 6.4 kilonewton meter, and you need to calculate the bending stress at extreme fiber. Extreme fiber means at edge AB and at this point. So you need to have the distance of y once as equal to bar x and another time equal to 12.5 minus bar x. So this is what you are going to have. So you see in this figure you have IXX divided by bottom fiber distance YB, which is equal to bar x here, and you substitute the values here and you compute the value of section modulus, and using the section modulus and value of 6.4 into 10 to the power 3 Newton meter of the your bending moment, you can calculate the bending stress value as 45.84 megapascal. While for the top fiber, you are going to subtract the value of bar x from the height of the T section, that is 12.5 minus bar x, and you calculate the again section modulus for this, and finally calculate the value of top fiber stress, that is 127.312. You can notice here that the value of top fiber stress is almost around 3 times of the bottom fiber stress. So highest stress that is occurring here is top fiber. Do you know why it is happening? Obviously it is happening because the top fiber is at farther distance from the neutral axis in comparison to the bottom fiber. You see, this distance that you have computed here is far more than what you have here. Okay, so that's why your suction modulus value is only 50.27. that is very low in comparison to 139.6 centimeter cube section modulus that you have computed for the bottom fiber. So that's why your value of top fiber stresses are far more in comparison to the bottom fiber stresses. So we need to design any section in such a way, if you want to keep the stress value low, you need to make it design it such a way that the section modulus value is as high as possible. Higher the section modulus value, lower will be the stresses that are generated in the particular section. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our lecture, and that also brings us to the end of our bending stress chapter.